This is cesium, one of the most reactive alkaline metals in the entire periodic table. Forged through the nuclear fission of uranium-137 can be used in radiation detection equipment or radiation therapy. However, unlike pure cesium, it's highly radioactive. If you were to take cesium-137 out of its containment, you'd be exposing yourself to gamma rays and all the horrific side effects that come with it. Nausea, vomiting, cancer, even death. 137 exposure is a code red scenario. You've seen the damage it does to human life through events such as the Chernobyl disaster, the Fukushima nuclear meltdown, and a lesser-known incident that occurred in Texas only a few years ago. An incident that put an entire town at risk of a deadly outbreak. On April 14, 2015, Tony Pellegrini made his routine commute to his job at a leading biotechnology company in Sugarland, Texas. Amongst the plethora of services this company provides in the field of scientific advancement, they tout themselves as the world's leading expert in radiation safety. This Sugarland facility contracted with hundreds of companies to help them safely dispose of radioactive waste. Tony's job for the day was to properly dispose of this waste, specifically cesium-137. But something unexpected happened on this day. While Tony was handling a vial of this highly radioactive source, the vial shattered open, allowing the cesium-137 to escape into the room. Even the smallest amount of exposure can lead to an outbreak of deadly proportions. So, what did this leading company in radiation safety do in response to this outbreak? Nothing. For 3 full days, they didn't report the contamination to anyone. This lack of urgency in the face of radioactive outbreak not only led to employees getting cancer and dying, but also allowed these unsuspecting employees to carry radioactive material on their clothes, to their cars, and into their homes. An entire community was at risk of sickness or death. It was a nuclear event the likes of which Sugarland had never seen. But the worst of their negligence wouldn't be revealed until the state of Texas conducted an investigation into the facility. Once on site, officials found a completely different radioactive isotope in the vents of the Sugarland facility, americium-241. But the facility hadn't housed americium since 5 to 6 years before the cesium incident. Employees have been unknowingly breathing in this radioactive chemical for years. This is the type of negligence that we cannot stand to see. We needed to hold the perpetrators accountable.
For 6 years, without even knowing about it, while working for a radiation safety company, our clients had cesium and americium in their bodies. This is a multi-billion-dollar company that to this day is still out there and still doing what they did before. It's terrifying. So a case like this, where there is a radiation leak, is technically called a nuclear incident. Now, there is a federal statute that governs acts and events like this, and that's called the Price-Anderson Act. So the issue with this act is that even though it provides a right of action for individuals that are harmed in nuclear incidents, you may not have a right to bring a lawsuit if the amount that you were exposed to doesn't reach a certain threshold based off a standard that was set back in 1987. that means that the companies would actually be protected in that case. This is a federal statute and it hasn't been updated in 40 years. So what we did is we selected a batch of our clients, and we had multiple clients that actually did have radiation in their bodies because their urinalysis showed that they had both cesium and americium in their urine. They were receiving that ionizing radiation on a day-to-day basis. The fact that there's a threshold requirement to hit in order for a statute to be enacted in regard to radiation following a nuclear incident is ridiculous. We began to identify specific issues with some of our clients. Tony had oral cancer, jaw deformity. While Tony was disposing of this nuclear waste in the facility, he had no protective gear on. And so of course that makes sense that radiation is just emitting day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute onto his face. It takes 30 years for cesium to decay to 1/2 of its value. And americium-241, that has a half-life of 432 years. And that is the poison that our clients were having to suck down for 6 years without even knowing about it. This company is still out there disposing of nuclear waste. They're still the leading company in the nation of radiation safety. After this incident, this facility, they shut down and they moved out of town, they moved out of the state, but they're still operating in the United States of America. They may have moved on, but this city has not.